I'm Clint Emerson, and welcome to Can You Survive This Podcast, where the interview is just as dangerous as the scenarios I put my guests through. From hostage situations to natural disasters, carjackings, active shooters, and more, if you're looking for the skills necessary to survive these situations, then this is the show for you. Thank you for listening to another episode. I always appreciate it. Make sure you go give us 5 stars and some dirty comments that we can read about later and tell all our followers how dirty you are. But 5 stars and some comments would do us great, and we always appreciate it. Keeps us in the top 1%. And today, got the founder and CEO of the Warrior Poet Society. He is a former war veteran and special operations soldier, having served in the 2nd Ranger Battalion, And today he is a video content creator, public speaker, firearms trainer, homesteader, and future author, and I'm bet New York Times bestseller, John Lovell, to the show. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Good to see you, man. Good to be here. Finally put it together. So I'm on the podcast, and hopefully, as the name may suggest, I don't die in the process. So here we are.
You are now on Can You Survive, and we'll see how you do. We're going to do a little bit of rapid fire, get it warmed up and see how you do. And then we'll circle back around and talk about the why, because the why is always important with choices in life. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree. Let's do it. I'm ready to hit this.
All right, here we go. Warrior or poet?
Poet.
Poet. Pistol or rifle?
Rifle.
Husband or father?
Husband.
Lead or follow?
Lead.
Grow it or buy it?
I should choose grow it, but I actually buy it because I'm a fake homesteader. I'm not the real deal.
Buy it. I know, it's tough. It's not easy. Folder or fixed blade?
Folder.
Filter the water or boil the water?
Filter.
Run or swim?
Ugh. Swim is better. And you SEALs, of course. You'll have all your nerdy explanations. But I'm going to go run just to spite you, SEAL. Take that.
So which one are you doing? Run?
I'm saying run just to spite you, SEAL.
Go and run. Oh, okay. Well, I figured since you're a Ranger, you'd have picked that anyway. All right. Push-ups or pull-ups?
Pull-ups.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Suck the lollipop or lick the ice cream cone?
I'm going to throw both of them at your face for giving me such. There's no win to that question, and you know it.
You have to pick one, though. You have to pick one. It's just you have to lick or suck. Which one are you? Come on. It's okay.
I will have some ice cream, and I'll eat it in the most masculine way I've ever seen.
Lick it is. All right. Good job. Okay. Circling back to the top. Here we go. Warrior versus poet. Obviously, you've started a foundation, a society, a world that does a good job, like intertwining both. So, but you pick poet over warrior. Give it to me.
Poet is the stuff that matters the most in life. And that's really what carries you most in life. You could do it a whole bunch of different ways. The First Amendment came before Second Amendment because First Amendment's filled with all the passionate stuff, the stuff that matters the most. And the Second Amendment is there to protect it, and so in the same vein, warrior is a means to an end, but poet, the deep drinking of life, the enjoyment of it, all, I can shove religion, philosophy, fatherhood, masculine. I can shove most of that stuff into the auspices, the lines of poet. And so there's the fighting for freedom and there's the enjoying of the freedom. The warrior is a means to an end. The poet is an end in of itself. So it's got to be superior. The warrior is definitely cooler. So those of you who bristle at my response out there of like, no, come on, man, warrior. No, I speak that language. I'm with you. But listen to my words, beefcakes.
Yeah. Well, you've obviously, you're on the speaking circuit. You're always on the camera. You always have awesome answers. And I can't argue with that at all. I mean, not that I would. It's just, I think you're right. The First and Second Amendment in the order in which they were put is definitely the best argument for it. I think you're right, though. People have to be like, well, you couldn't have peace without the war first. And it's like chicken and egg type stuff. But I'm with you. Poet. All right. Pistol versus rifle. You pick rifle.
Come on, rifles are awesome. You want to put somebody down, and whether it's hunting an animal or defending your home, rifle is far better, terminal ballistic wise. Of 7 out of every 8 people shot with a pistol live through it. And so, hey, rifle, I mean, I can shoot really far away. I can shoot really close, up and fast. There's a reason why all your special operations guys or your SWAT teams, they all could choose any gun in the world, and they're rocking the M4 for a reason, and so rifle is just better. I don't conceal carry a rifle because my pants are just too tight. But I'll carry a pistol to fight my way to a rifle.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. That's the only reason is you got that pistol to get you to the rifle. And I'm with you. I had this tornado back in December, and it basically took all my rifles and spread them over 10 acres. And so what I've been doing since everything got rebuilt, my shops and my little work areas and this and that, I take a rifle every day, clean it, go sight it in, and it's the most enjoyable way to start a day, because every morning after I get done with my little routine, that's the first thing I do is clean, because there's a lot to clean now. They all got stuck in the mud and everything. And so clean it, zero it, you get a couple of rounds down range, you kind of get brushed up on, oh yeah, I got to do this, windage, elevation, blah, blah, blah. And it's the best way to start a day. Rifles are just fun and awesome, and there's so many things you can do with them that you can't do with a pistol. Okay, husband over father.
I mean, I love my kids, but the goal is to love your wife more than your kids. Reason why is if you really want to grow good kids, if you make them the center of the universe, as we are predisposed to do here in the 21st century, we make little tyrants, little Napoleons that think the center of the world is themselves and everything revolves around it. And so if you put your spouse ahead of them, it will not only keep them in check so that they're not spoiled brats, but it will also model how to be married. And you'll be investing in your marriage. You should be doing weekly dates with your wife. If your marriage is not growing, it is shrinking. You probably just don't notice. And so put your spouse above your kids, I think, is the recipe for, having everything. So.
Yeah, no, that's a great explanation, and I support it. I mean, I'm divorced, so it didn't work out so well for me. But, what I've realized in divorce is 2 happy parents, whether they're married or not, is what really creates normal, disciplined, good kids and sets them up for success in the future. Parents have to be happy in order for the kids to grow up and be the best they can be. Lead versus follow, and I could have guessed lead. Rangers always lead the way.
I didn't want to say that, but then I'm like, wait, the mantra that was thrust upon me by the 75th, I didn't have a choice. So I didn't get to be an independent thinker. I had to be a drone automaton ranger and say, Rangers lead the way, There
you go.
And so, lead, bro. I eat and I lead.
That's right. There you go. But you're always a student, right? You accept that.
Yep. I mainly just learn from myself as I follow myself, leading all the way.
Just circles. You're just running in circles all day long. Yeah.
There's like 10 idiots listening in right now that are taking me seriously. They're unsubscribing. They're blackballing John Lovell. Hey, it was a joke, bro. It was a joke.
That's awesome. Grow it or buy it. And you defaulted to buy it, even though you're trying to grow it.
Growing is better, I think, nowadays, with all the writing on the wall, with all the cracks that I'm seeing in key infrastructure across all sectors. It would be really, really good time to button down the hatches and become as self-sufficient as possible. Your Rugged Life book really speaks to that and provided I loved it because it was this great practical guide of like, it wasn't way up in the clouds. It was grassroots. It's something I could grab onto and immediately grow from. Sorry to be plugging your book, but I'm like, yeah, Rugged Life. It speaks to what I know I should be doing. And so I'm looking out over my homestead here and I see a horse and some cows and solar panels and a garden with nothing growing in it because we killed our latest attempt again. And so we're trying to push into self-sufficiency, and we made some big strides forward, but we're also man, we're just kind of picking at it here and there, and it's still so much simpler to just buy stuff. But we've been making strides toward growing and doing for ourselves. So
Yeah, no, you make great points, and it's why I asked, because I knew that you're kind of a new homesteader and you're trying, and it always amazes me when I wrote Rugged Life. I went around the country like I do for most books and met with the people who live it and breathe it every day. And those families, the first thing they said, like, are you saving money? No, we're not saving money. That was number one. You're not saving money because it really depends on the bigger overarching social plan. If you live in a cul-de-sac and you spread out what everyone's going to do, then you'll benefit. But if you are a small family, then you are going to probably pay more to grow what you want than just buying it at the store. Now, if you're like one of my buddies who's a Mormon, has 20 kids, then now you're saving money. But it really depends on how you tackle it at a social level. But a lot of times with homesteading, it's an expensive thing when you look back in history. Every American, male, female, child, knew everything that's in the Rugged Life, right? And they were doing it, and they were doing it every day to live and survive off the land.
It made me feel stupid of how few skills I actually possess.
Yeah,
hyper skillful in a few things that if things went really bust, there's this great amount of skills that I really need, and I am not very good at. And
no,
unless I'm using like Compy or C4, I'm not actually good at fires.
Yeah.
If you cheats, I can make fireballs. It's pretty fun.
That's right. Yeah, it is kind of a little scary once you actually dig into it and go, okay, I don't. Like, the pH of the soil is everything, and I didn't know that. And then when I go and interview a lot of different homesteaders and talk to them from time to time, like, it's everything. Like, that soil is everything when you're trying to grow. Yep. And you've got to know everything that's in it before you even get started. But the biggest piece to growing it and to being more self-reliant, and I push this all the time, is most of these homesteaders were not affected by any of the chaos that we were affected by, right? They're not affected by supply chain. They weren't affected by this, pandemic. Being self-reliant basically creates this insulation and prevents all the craziness in our world from even touching you. It's a beautiful thing. And if you can pull it off, you should, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one to pull off these days.
Sure.
Folder versus fixed blade. You pick the folder.
Yep.
Yeah, you just easy.
If somebody's going to jump me in the alley or something, hopefully we'll avoid the alley and then I'll shoot them. But if you get pinned up I love that clinch pick fixed blade. That thing is awesome and amazing if all of a sudden you find yourself in some up close defensive entangled gunfight, knife fight. That thing's awesome. But just practically speaking, I'm already every day carrying just too much stuff. And at some point you start feeling like a Michelin man just junk. And so just practically speaking, just a simple folder just keeps me from feeling fat. And I've got this kind of push dagger orientation. So anyway, it feels like I can kind of fight more but just generally I carry a blade more as a work knife these days. And my primary pistol is more about defense. So yeah, I totally understand that. When I'm just tooling around my property, I've got a folder because it's just more comfortable. It's easier to get to. I'm using it as a tool. I'm not, planning on stabbing anybody. Right. And I totally get it. And yeah, you're right. If you're carrying a gun, and what was the quote? You said a quote when I came out and visited you a couple of years ago. The stupid people, stupid places, what? Say it again. Avoid stupid people at stupid times and stupid places. And I think it was Cooper, maybe it was Jeff Cooper that first did that.
Coined it. Yeah.
Yeah. He did that. So
yeah.
I'm just copying someone who copied someone who copied someone.
Yeah. And when you said it, it was a reminder. I was like, I've heard this before, but that is really the key, right? As long as you're not doing stupid things at stupid times with stupid people, then, the odds are you're going to be okay and you're not going to need to pull a knife or a gun. Yes.
One thing I don't talk about very often, it's also hard to have a lot of fun because most of the fun I've had in my life is stupid times at stupid places with stupid people.
Yeah. No,
I remember me and you beating each other over the head with rolled up newspapers and motorcycle helmets. And
that's right.
That was a hot mess of stupid, man.
And there was a big difference between 10 layers of newspaper and 20.
Yeah, man, that thing will jar you.
Yeah. Yeah, it works. That's why all those hooligans at the soccer games in Europe do it. Okay, we're moving on. Filter the water or boil the water? Filter the water.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm out in the thicket, in the brush, and I'm drinking out of streams, I obviously need to boil it because parasites and whatnot. But I've got well water. It goes a couple 100 feet down, and I'm fine to just Berkey filter that action. I'm doing fine with that. And so practically speaking, filtering is great. If you change the scenario, boiling is a must, but I don't want to boil if I don't have to. So,
yeah, it's time consuming. It means you got to have fire in order to pull it off. And filters are, the filters they make. I mean, I carry like a little Sawyer from time to time whenever I'm out about because that thing is so easy. You know, it's not fast, but it's does the job in a timely manner, and you always have fresh, clean water. Run, swim. I think you said swim, and then you went back to run. But which one do you like to do?
I'd rather do neither because I'm has been. So I don't even like watching people run and swim anymore. It brings back terrible memories, you know.
Yeah. So what's your number one fitness thing, or do you just avoid that too?
No, I work out, bro. I work out.
You did the before picture months ago. I saw the before picture, and then I haven't seen the after yet. Where
I look like my before pictures.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
My before picture wasn't, terrible. The wife is liking how I'm put together, So, no, I keep getting injuries. And so I start making some gains, and then I'm deadlifting or squatting, and I've got all kinds of back injuries and whatnot. And so I start feeling excited. I get carried away. I'm competitive. I want to lift something heavier. And then something goes out, and now I'm
starting over. And I got to kind of babysit it for a couple months. And so I'm trying to have the discipline to recognize, hey, I'm older and I'm riddled with all kinds of injuries. And really, it's more about very slow progress forward. And it's more maintenance. I want a pretty good handle on some strength stuff, some speed, some agility, some endurance. I want all of it in proper proportion. And so running and swimming, they're great. I just don't have a lot of time to do that anymore. And so I'd rather jump on a machine early in the morning at the gym, hit some stuff, highly efficient. I'm out the door going to work. So, right. Yeah, I totally get that too. It's making time for yourself every day is important, no doubt about it. But you've also got to look at what's best use of time. And you just made a great point. Running and swimming eats up a lot of time. And a HIIT workout, though, you can knock that out. You still get your cardio, you still get your strength, and it's on you to do the flexibility or any of the other mobility, flexibility, all of those abilities that are either before or after the workout will help with the longevity, but good stuff. With that, push-ups versus pull-ups, you pick pull-ups. That's rare. I love pull-ups. Most people don't.
I think it's more useful muscles than push-ups are. If I'm going to really latch on to somebody for grappling, somebody who is a real good climber, somebody who can do a whole bunch of pull-ups, they feel way stronger than the chesty push-ups guy. And so this looks better, but this actually, I don't know, you can kind of rip people around, and I find it just more utility. So vanity muscles up front and the useful muscles in the back. I don't know.
There you go. I like that. And, us, the Navy and the Army are the only ones that actually do pull-ups correctly, while the Marines are just doing those kick-up weird shit that CrossFitters do. Dead pull-ups. Straight up, straight down, none of that kipping crap.
Right. That's right.
And then finally, you rather lick it than suck it. So we'll end there and keep moving forward. Good job, John. Good job. You are
It's a setup.
surviving.
It's
You
a
are
sting.
you are surviving. Yes, you're doing great. Okay. Let's dig into you a little bit. This is my favorite part because now we get to learn about John back in the day, John currently, John in the future. That's what we're gonna do here. Okay.
It's my least favorite part. I'm ready to survive something, bro. I'm ready for the theoreticals.
Well, we got something special for you. Don't you worry.
All right, bring it on.
All right. So give me the scariest, whatever word you want to use. Okay. But I know it's different with all of us alpha males. I don't get scared of anything. Or the moment when it's like, holy shit, right? I want a holy shit moment from your Army days, but also provide some lessons learned for listeners, right? It can be, it doesn't necessarily, I'm not talking combat, right? I'm talking like these moments where you're like, it could have been a natural disaster, could have been anything really. Could have been just a crazy traveling threat when we're abroad. But what do you got? What's the one or two things that from your past that were just like, wow, that was nuts?
So I'll say I want to start with a lesson real quick and then press in of what I learned. And what I learned is no one gets a monopoly on fear. Like, it's not like, oh, I have done scary things and performed well, ergo, I'm good in the future.
Oh, right.
And it's just not true, because the moment I started to ever get any kind of haughtiness of like, hey, I've walked through the fire, I've done some room clearing stuff, I've been in some firefights and things went relatively well. I think I'm good. And then all of a sudden you get punked out by something that is not as comparatively scary. And so, and perhaps even now, just because I have played, been more on the coward hero scale, just because I've performed more heroically in the past, is no guarantee that I won't play the coward tomorrow. And then courage in under fire, I could freak out and not have the courage to, lead well as a man or say something that would have me politically canceled or ostracized or threaten my job and my cushier life. And so fear is a goofy thing. You never actually master it. It's always something kind of, the rent is due every day when it comes to fear. So anyway, I remember a couple different places that were the scariest times, the things that really locked me up with fear. I really remember 2 times that I froze in fear. One of them was legitimately scary, and the other one wasn't actually that scary. Just my perception was what just overwhelmed me. And all of a sudden I kind of had I was sitting still long enough to process the fear and give into it. Sometimes you're just moving from building to building and you have so much work in front of you of, here's my point of domination, collapsing sectors of fire, and you communicate with a different, so you don't have time to be afraid. You're just doing the work and you're mentally distracted. So we were raiding this terrorist training camp. One of my buddies had just gotten blown up by an RPG, and so he had lost a leg. There was this kind of ravine down here, had longer grass, and I was more up on this spur looking down, ready to just provide coverage as a team pushing through to basically rustle these guys out so that when they jetted, we could pick them up as they beat feet out on this nice path of egress. So I was there. But it was really, my nods were all fogging up because we just beat feet like 500 meters from, helicopters that just dropped us off. It was dark, and my vantage point, I just couldn't see down well. I couldn't see down. And I knew, based on my lighting conditions at the time, which were not ink black, we had a pretty high percentage of lume. If I crested that part of the ravine, I would be skylined and silhouetted. And even though it was dark, I could read lighting conditions well enough and had the tactical wherewithal to know of like, man, I'm going to be a sitting target for anyone that's dark adapted down there. And then I heard somebody, or maybe I imagined it, as someone said, or I just imagined, they said, they're climbing up. And I realized, hey, if these jokers climb up, I'm going to be face to face with them. And that fear just kind of ran away with me because I was just so blind and I couldn't figure out what in the world to do. And my job was just to, hey, keep this sector. And we were all spanned way out. So you're kind of alone, you're blind, you're hearing things, seeing things, and you already had the smell of blood in the air. And so I don't know of like, I'd been through scarier stuff than that. But that one really just got me. It carried me away. And I found myself chastising myself of like, what's wrong with you? Come on, Ranger up here. But yeah, I kind of lost that battle. Now, nobody died on my watch, and it ended up being a big nothing burger in my sector of fire. If I threw a few frags in, maybe you got somebody, maybe you didn't. I don't know, but it ended up being a bit of a nothing burger for me. A second one was, the closest I'd ever gotten in a gunfight. It was inside a room, and I'd kicked open this palace door. It wasn't a palace door. Sorry. It was just a very, very plush, nice house. I'd kicked open this door. It was dark outside. It had flipped up nods because it was full lighting conditions on the inside, and immediately took incoming SKS rounds just right over my head. And I put this joker down pretty up close. And that wasn't scary, but it was as I processed the room and knew, all right, I need to keep moving through. But man, the more I described the clearing situation, the more of a nightmare it was. Of like the entire back wall of the house was blacked out windows. So because it was dark outside, I couldn't see through it into the courtyard, and it was lit up. So anyone in the courtyard, which looked large, could see everything inside. And it was close range. I'm like, I'm screwed. Then I had nothing but open danger areas all the way around this kind of octagon-ish room. And then it had an open staircase that went up to a balcony that wrapped around with open danger areas as well. I just received contact and knew for a fact somebody else was over here. And I'm still kind of, oh crap, processing the fact, man, I almost ate a bullet. And that was really scary close. And meanwhile, I had a Delta guy who they brought their dogs and like they just materialized. When Rangers found contact, Delta just materialized. Like, you guys got any kills for us? Any confirmed kills in there for us? And this dude was right on me. I remember him be like, all right, go, open door right. And I'm like, wait, no, hold on. Wait. Not a good reason to wait. I was just scared. I didn't want to go anywhere. I'm like, wait, no.
No, I don't want to do that. Not yet. Let me get over it.
But I had a little bit of analysis paralysis of no shoot house had prepared me for that room clearing problem. And I don't know whether I stood still for 5 seconds. Maybe it was longer. It felt like, 2 minutes. I bet it was 5 or 10 seconds, but nobody died on my watch then, because you could freeze and somebody dies for it. And then you got to limp through life with that on your conscience. So nothing went bad, but I definitely froze for that moment in time, paralyzed by fear, just paralyzed by fear. So there's two things.
No, I like that. That's good. The first one I relate to because I was asleep. I had fallen asleep underneath a Humvee in Iraq. We had been going so hard that none of us could actually stay awake. But my dream was Fedayeen coming over the wall, right? And that dream was so freaking real. Like when I woke, I slammed my head against the bottom of the vehicle, right? Almost knocked myself out, cut my head open, was like, where's my gun? Where's everything? And then you finally realize like, oh, but my heart was just jamming. I couldn't get my heart to stop beating like that for a solid, it seemed like 30 minutes, but it was probably only 5. You know what I mean? But it was just the visual of in that dream, knowing that you're asleep and people could come and take advantage of you while you were asleep. And it was probably prior to that, in Nasiriyah, the Marines were dug in and there was rumors of Fedayeen coming into the trenches, and the Marines were so tired, they're falling asleep and just getting their throats cut in the middle of the night, right? So we had heard about all that. And then, you fast forward how many ever days or a week or two, and same thing. Like that fear of, it was nothing, but it seemed like everything in that little split second, waking up. Yeah, and then your second piece, I mean, yeah, I know that I've had those moments as well where when those shots are fired and I just survived that.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be taking steps even closer to the unknown of more of that.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Am I really that dumb? But you do it anyway because it's fun and because that's what you signed up for. And once you kind of get going, like you said early on, so many things are going on. You don't have time to be scared or have any kind of fear. You just go through it. And that's why you train. And which this is perfect segue to Warrior Poet Society, the train. And then these hard skills that you're teaching around the country, giving civilians that ability to now do what they've trained for if a good day goes bad, and survive to tell that story just like you and I have. So tell the listeners more about Warrior Poet and everything it stands for. I'm sure a lot of them have heard of it, but now they get to hear it from you.
Yeah, so we make all kinds of online content. Some of it's security related or Second Amendment advocacy or just, hey, what it means to be a good man, doing the father and dad stuff. And so it's a bit of a masculinity movement. It's philosophical, it's theological. So there's content creation there under Warrior Poet banner. We also have training, and this is where it really kind of kicked off. It was in the training area. I shifted far more into going after civilians. I mean, I've been out a very long time now, and I'm just a civilian. I'm not. Nothing requires me to wear multicam now, and so I like multicam though. But I'm really just after normal dudes, guys who are software engineers or lawyers or HVAC repairmen or whatever, and they just would like to make the world a little safer. I've taken some age-old military tactics and principles and put that in more of a civilian context, and then just good old pistol rifle skills. I teach a one-man room clearing class. I'll do some home defense variables. And so I let people do gunfights. And so average regular guys can go through a few pistol classes and then get to fight each other. You get to do an actual simulated gunfight with each other. You got little stinging 9mm bees coming at you real quick and painting you blue and pink. And so, very, very fun classes, but I'm after the everyday guy trying to make them better protectors.
Yeah, no, it's a great mission you got going on post your active duty mission. And it's similar to mine, but I like to go around, learn from experts like you that are teaching it every day. I certainly am not, don't plan to. And giving people more of the soft side, and you're giving the hard skills. But here pretty soon, you're gonna be providing some soft skills, right, through a book. And what's that book? Tell me about it.
So it's called The Warrior Poet Way. It's our ethos really crystallized. What does it mean to be a warrior poet? I see an outright attack on masculinity in general, and I think warrior poets are strong enough to trudge through the hardest things that life can throw at them. I think they're strong, good protector providers, but they're poets in that they're also able to hold their families together. They're able to be good in the business world and good neighbors and good servants through local church or neighborhood or whatever you're doing, or forces for good in the world. And so I believe that a man should be both warrior and poet. They should be a lion and a lamb. So ISIS is very afraid of you, but your kids aren't. It's tickle fights with them, and it's you're ready to shift gears. 3-count draw stroke, one of the tee box for bad guys. And so a guy should not be a lover or a fighter. You need to be both. You can't just be a fighter and not a lover, or else you're deficient, because real warriors protect something worth it. And you can't just be a lover and not a fighter, because real love protects. And so they're inexorably linked together. Someone who is a warrior and not a poet, or a poet and not a warrior, is deficient in both categories.
Yeah, I love everything you've been preaching.
Thanks.
And obviously I've been out there. For those of you who didn't know, John provided some awesome skills for Combat Edition. So you can see some of the skill set, you can see some of his philosophy. in the narratives that accompany the illustrations and the videos of him, and just awesome stuff. And you've put it together so well. So I'm kind of going to put you on the spot. So with this new book coming out, well, first let's go ahead. Pre-sales. When does pre-sales begin?
It's already up for pre-sale. So
pre-sale right now. Perfect.
Yeah, it's available right now on Amazon. It's already a #1 new release.
Yeah.
In the masculinity space and in the Christian men's space. And so it's already doing real well, and it better because I've worked on this thing for years. I mean, I put all kinds of personal stories, stuff that I've held back, and I was real vulnerable, and maybe I even overshared a little bit, but some of it will even make me like, I risked a little bit more because I really think it's helpful. I think it's really going to speak to people. I think people who are not into reading will read and grow from this book. I really think so. I've tried my best to encapsulate the most important lessons of living free and dying well. And so anyway, it's available for pre-order right now.
Right now. Good. Because the pre-sales matter. Okay. I want to tell my listeners those pre-sales matter. So make sure you buy now and wait. So when does it come out?
July 11th. And Clint, thanks so much for reviewing it, because you are a blurb front and center right there.
Oh, yeah.
Center,
I remember, when I came to visit you, it's been several years at this point, and that's when you were asking about, like, oh, all right, I'm thinking about doing a book, and I was just giving you my own input and experience, and it's an accomplishment, and good job. It's not easy, as you've noticed, to put books together, and it's not easy to sell them. You are going to be a published author, which is much different than most people these days, because it's so easy to self-publish. But publish means something. It means that it's like almost like an algorithm chose you, right? To say, yes, we think this is going to be a great selling book. And that algorithm is basically a bunch of editors and smarter people than you and I at times, especially when it comes to the literary world, deciding that, yes, this book, this concept, this idea is going to do really, really well. So of course, in a big publishing house, I think you went with Penguin.
Yeah. And actually Sentinel, which is a footprint of Penguin, but Penguin approached me and said, hey, you ever thought about writing a book? And I'd already had about 25,000 words put in the most raw and ugly conglomeration. Just as I'm doing work, I steal away and I write 2,000 words here just on a tear, no editing. And then the next day, I don't do anything for a few weeks, and then I come back at it, and you're like, how do I put this junk together? It took a lot of time. This has been a labor of hate and love. I hated having to work so hard. I love that it is done now. That's a
big deal. So congrats. And so back to putting you on the spot. Okay. Top 3 things this book is going to do for the men who read it.
I think guys who are naturally more warrior predisposed, you need to really grow in poetic elements. And I can't just say that in a way that you'd be like, all right, I'll try to write a sonnet. I'm like, no, you thick-headed idiot. No, that's not what I mean. I needed to walk them through some more practical stuff. I need you to see what I see, the benefits of it, and then what it looks like to walk that path. Because all of a sudden you don't realize what you're missing out of life and family and faith and living. And I would also say to the poets, you are far too timid. This is a world at war with all kinds of bad players, and there is scary things. And it is not good enough for a man to just sit back and be real kind and polite. I'm like, no, there's a lot more to masculinity. There is boldness and there is strength, and we're supposed to be more like lions. And so the poets will need a kick in the pants, like you need to get up and roar some. You need to howl at the moon, brother. And so I take some real, not in a shaming, this is how you should be, hear me roar now. It's far more practical. And so I have a meta narrative where I bring people on this journey. And I try, like you help me a lot, because I really love how practical your books are. They're your pure practicality. Here's your bottom line up front, and then it's just brass tacks. And I try to start philosophical, and then I try to whittle that down of like, all right, what in the world does that mean? Rubber meets road.
Yeah.
And so I even move into like personal sovereignty in on my very last chapter. And that's some of this self-sufficiency stuff we're talking about. And so, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it releasing, seeing how well it does. I know it'll crush it. And last piece on the book, did you already read it yet? Did you go and sit in a torture chamber and 8 hours a day so that you can have the audiobook, or what's the deal? Did you do that yet?
So I am going to do the audio.
Oh, you are you are going to have so much fun with that, buddy.
So I'm actually looking forward to the audio book. I read aloud to my kids like every night. I'll even do voices. So I'm actually hardcore into reading books out loud because I do it every night with my kids, just about every night.
But the difference is it'll be, John, yes. Can you go back to the top of the page and start over for me, please?
No. I read it.
John.
What do you want?
And then, so there's 3 producers that are going to be on the wire with you, okay?
Oh, no. Okay.
John, can you say that word? I'm looking at it. You said Mississippi as you kind of slurred it. I need you to go ahead and repeat that entire sentence, please, John.
Okay. So, all right. You into waters I didn't know. I thought microphone in my book. And here, so, okay.
No.
Here's my real answer now no, Clint, it's going to be a horror story. It's going to be a dumpster fire. I didn't know I didn't know. Not looking forward to it. But that's just about on me where I'll read the book.
Yeah, no, it's much better if you do. And it's better for the listeners / readers to hear your voice, tell it how you want it. And you can enunciate and put a certain tone behind certain sections where, if it's funny or if you want it to be serious, it's all in your voice, and you can control that rather than hiring someone to do it. They would hire, and it's no big deal to you. But yeah, just take your migraine medication with you. Make sure you got some reading glasses to kind of relax your eyes a little. And it's usually 5 days, 8 hours a day, depending on the size of your book.
Thanks, Clint, because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. This is Can You Survive This podcast? I'm always trying to find ways to torture people. All right. Let's see. So what's next on the horizon? I mean, Warrior Poet, obviously crushing it. You have the Warrior Poet Network, which has got these awesome, really, really like high level produced TV shows and stuff. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. And you've got a team now of 20, 30 people. I mean, where are you at with all that?
So Warrior Poet Society, I was just thinking about it. It's like the folks that really do full-time hardcore work of like, they're full-time with us. It's about 15 or so.
15. Okay.
If you counted everybody who, gets a 1099 for whatever, maybe we're closer to 30-ish, probably a little under 30, but really 15 people do the hardcore work of the society. So I got such a good team. I love my team. Yeah. And they do really good work. But our network of it's basically recognizing big tech is adversarial against us. Every time they redo the algorithm, it's to quarantine us and to bleed off our following while taking all those folks and trying to convert them to funny cat videos and, pubescent girls doing TikTok zombie dances, scantily clad. Of like they're trying to wean us off, material that might be edifying and good for them to something a little bit more that lines up with their ideological views. And so that's what's happening on big tech. And every time they redo algorithms, they're trying to crush us out of Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. And so the writing's on the wall. Where this all will end is if you want to have video content, you're going to have to own your own platform. You got to own your own content because this is borrowed terrain and we're not welcome.
So. And now, do you think the big tech side literally kind of go after and try to squash anything Christianity, masculinity, and guns? I mean, do you really think they kind of look at it that way, or is there another angle they're taking to kind of squash it?
No, I think it's exactly that. And all I had was suspicions before, but man, if you leaned into Elon's Twitter files when he took over, it was literally all kinds of downgrade accounts, shadow bans. It had all these rev limiters on all this stuff to superficially inhibit huge engagement. And you're seeing all these accounts that have all these tags on it. And of like, man, after 8 years of playing with YouTube and whatnot, I am very good at interpreting our analytics. And I'm telling you, I'm being throttled hardcore.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am not guessing. It is not a hunch. And the Twitter files really actually prove that. Yeah, I just know where it's all going. And so I don't want big tech to be able to cancel me. And so we have our own streaming service. It's a bit of an arc, and we have all these different friends that have come on it, backed up their content. We've got our shows, and we've also got all my training classes. So if you want to see what Pistol 1, 2, and 3 is all about, well, check it out. Or Ryan Kleckner can show you sniper stuff, and in folks from a different zip code. Or Craig Douglas will teach you how to
stab somebody.
To put sticky stabby things into place bad guys wouldn't want them to go. And so
that's right.
Great stuff.
No, yeah, it's awesome. So what's next? What's the future look like for you, Warrior Poet? Where are you going next?
So folks will ask me that. Thank you for the question. Like I'll have some big grandiose whatever with something that would sound impressive in a corporate structure. And really, I'm not that way. I'm not super idyllic of what do you see yourself doing in 5 or 10 years? I'm like, well, I think Warrior Poets are forces for good in a world that needs us. And I would like us all to be stronger. And I'd like a lot more of us. And so everything else is just a means to an end of like no super sexy flow charts or Venn diagrams or, it's literally there's the big idea. And all of our systems we have a big e-commerce store with all kinds of, knives and backpacks and body armor and war belts and holsters, all the stuff. We sell all the stuff, but it's to fund the movement. The money funds the movement, not the movement makes the money. It just, so that's the idea. So,
yeah, you're crushing it. You're crushing it on both accounts. And, I love watching it. Obviously I've dug you since I found you, or you found me and then I found you. I don't know how that actually worked, but I do appreciate everything you've got going on. And but I think it's about that time. We could talk for hours about war and poets, but it's time to put you through the ringer here. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Do I need to put anything on? Should I be gone?
Do you have a helmet? Put a helmet on for this if you got one nearby. We'll take you back in time.
Man, I feel naked. I see an AR. I see some ears. I see some ears.
Whatever you're ready. Okay, here we go.
Sure.
All right. You are a lone soldier who has been separated from your unit during a mission in a hostile city. Your radio is broken, and you have no way to contact anyone for help. You must navigate the city and survive until you can find your way back to safety. Are you scared yet? Do you?
That is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
This is a terrible scenario. I need blessing and luck for starters. Keep going.
Do you, A, try to find high vantage point to get your bearings? B, stay put and wait for your unit to find you? Starts out easy.
Can you give me more context for the second one? Do I know that anyone is looking for me and a general idea of where I was last seen?
No, you do not know anything.
Is whatever I ask context is going to be that answer, isn't it?
That's right. Do you, A, try to find high ground and get your bearings, or stay put and wait for your unit?
Yeah, I'm going to stay put until nightfall, and then I'm going to try to get out of the city. I worry if I try to get high ground, if I'm in the middle of an urban area, man, I'm going to get pegged. That's going to be real bad. So I'm going to find a place to hide during daylight hours, and then deep into the night, I'll be coming out trying to get outside of the city. someplace where I can keep eyes on it, and figure out a plan from there. But my chances of surviving outside of the major city is going to be a lot better than inside it. I'd rather be doing bushcrafty survival stuff and fending for my own, and trying to figure out some way to signal peers than hoping that nobody discovers me in an urban area. You're screwed. You can't do that. So
I failed to mention that no matter what your answer is, it's usually wrong in my scenarios. Okay.
Fantastic. Bring it on.
So, yes, John, you try to find high ground and get your bearings for this scenario. You decide to get the high vantage point. Okay. You climb a tall building. You see that you are several blocks away from your unit's last known location. As you start to make your way towards them, you hear gunfire in the distance. Okay? Do you, A, head towards the gunfire, or B, avoid the gunfire and take a different route?
Yeah. How am I dressed?
You're fully kitted out. You know.
And is it during hours of limited visibility?
You know, time of day wasn't pointed out, so I'll say it's nighttime for you. Let's make it night for you.
Fantastic. I'm going to use my infrared laser and ion probe to signal aircraft from above and wait for them to let them know that I am a displaced friendly that they can pick up.
No, and you know, it's perfect. You know, as a sidebar, you are answering exactly what I want guys to answer, because that's the stuff people want to hear, is like all the alternate thoughts.
But hey, what are we? We were trained to think asymmetrically.
Yeah, exactly.
What we're supposed to do is this is asymmetric. Yes, the whole point of war is to outsmart the problem. That's all it is.
So it's the 80s, so you didn't have a laser. You know, you're just you got old school H gear on, roaming around in Rubble. Okay, so yes. B.
I'm going to top off my canteen so that they don't slosh when I walk.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have balanced H gear.
Well, in that case, if it is dark, what I fear is either I'm going to get shot by bad guys or I'm going to be shot by friendlies and link up. So I can't go straight for gunfire, because either force may kill me and my good guys aren't going to miss me. You know, those guys are good shots. So I'm going to find an alternate route and figure out a different way to link up.
Damn, you're good. Yes. B, avoid the gunfire and take a different route towards your unit. So you decide to do this. And as you make your way through the streets, you come across a group of hostile fighters. Okay, now it gets fun. So do you engage the fighters in a firefight, or B, just sneak past them unnoticed?
How many enemy packs am I dealing with here?
Well, let's see. Back then, I think the main advertisement was Army of One, right? That was a great marketing campaign for teamwork.
Really was. All horse crap, too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Army of One. So are you going to be an Army of One, or are you just going to sneak past them like a ninja? I mean, come on.
How many enemy packs am I dealing with here?
You're outnumbered. That's all I know.
If it's two, I'm gonna burn them down and then shoot straight through. But it is best to avoid that. I do not want to get in a lone gunfight. That is really, really bad. So I'd rather either wait for them to pass or find an alternate route. You do not want to pay attention to yourself.
That's it. That's the big one, right? You engage them now. You're just asking for all the drama to come your way, right?
Right.
We don't want any big, loud bang, bang sounds. Not just yet, at least. Okay. So, yeah, you sneak past them because you are a ninja at heart. But as you...
I will have my black balaclava. You know,
yeah.
At least
don't we all?
It's the 80s.
That's right. I mean... I have a murder bag in my trunk. I've purposely put one of those in there because you have to. All right. So as you continue towards the unit, you come across a collapsed building blocking your path. Who would have thought? Do you climb over the rubble or just go back the way you came? Go ahead. Talk it out. You're doing a good job talking these out.
I do not want to climb over rubble. It's like... a problem when you come over something is you're so silhouetted from it. And so
there's another problem too, but you'll face that whether you like it or not. But yeah, keep going. Keep debating through it.
Can I not skirt around it? Of like, how is it that only one building and I have to actually turn around? Of like, this must be a monstrosity of a building. Is it like a football stadium building? How can I not just go around this building here?
It's like the video games. You're just limited to what's in front of you, and you haven't earned enough of the gold coins yet. I mean, come on, John. It's a building, or go back the way you came, which is bad guys.
Yeah.
Rubble or bad guys? Rubble or bad guys?
So the problem is a single element. The chances of that somebody may have seen me in moving around, going back the same way that I just came is really, really scary. That's going to be ambush alley going back. I think I got to risk pushing through. So.
Okay. So yes, you climb over the rubble. Good choice. So you decide to do this, and as you do, you accidentally trigger a booby trap that sets off an explosion, which knocks you to the earth. Back down to the bottom of the rubble you go. So, do you assess your injuries and take necessary first aid measures, or B, ignore your injuries and just keep on moving?
Dude, assess. You have no idea. Like, I might have a femoral bleed.
That's right.
Like, you have no idea the extent of... Even if you felt tip top of like, oh, I'm good. No, you may be dead in 30 seconds, hombre. You need to do a self check. It's medical time.
That's right. And I know, I mean, it doesn't take much, right? I mean, you kind of do it naturally. Like, I've been ambushed. I'm sure you've been ambushed. And the first thing is like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Like, it comes natural, like, to assess yourself. It really does.
Yep.
Especially when there's explosions or, large amounts of lead coming your way. So yes, correct. You want to assess your injuries and go ahead and get yourself squared away, because you just don't know what the future has in store for you. And it's already been pretty shitty so far. All right. So you take the necessary first aid measures. You realize... now there's an enemy closing in on your 6, right? That hostile group, they heard the boom, and now they're coming towards it. So, do you A, crawl into a nearby sewer system, or B, hide in the rubble?
Ooh, you can't hide in the rubble.
Right.
Yeah. No, tactical principle, noise and light discipline. If you violate those, you need to move. And so give me anywhere except in the rubble. They'll eventually find me in the rubble, particularly if I'm injured and I got a blood trail. So, man, I gotta get off the X. I'm going to the sewer.
Yes, you have chosen wisely. You navigate the drainage system to a rendezvous point. It's basically the street equivalent rendezvous point that you had already had planned before this mission fell apart. When you get there, though, you find your unit has already moved on. You've missed the window, right? So do you A, head straight to the next rendezvous point or rally point, or B, rest and assess your situation?
Nothing to assess, bro. Next to rally point. Let's go.
That's right. Keep moving.
Ticking.
Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Good choice. You continue to the next point. And as you do, you come across a wounded civilian who needs medical attention. Okay? It's a decision point. Do you ignore that civilian and continue on, or do you go ahead and provide some medical aid?
Is Jesus watching?
Always.
Oh.
That's what I love. That's a good point. I grew up in Saudi, so I always found it interesting that they spent tens of millions of dollars on this bridge from Saudi to Bahrain so that they could drink it up and hang out with whores. And because they truly believe that Allah cannot see them in Bahrain. So they drive from Saudi across this big causeway to Bahrain for that reason, because Allah can't see them there. So do you believe that Jesus can't see you here?
No, Jesus sees me. It was I'm a follower of Jesus. I was just a terrible joke.
It's a good joke, though. I love it.
I said I followed him. I didn't say anything. It was anything like him. I'm not like him. So like to be, just not. So I've got problems. It's the same problem of responding to an active killer event. Responding to an active killer event is tactically stupid, but it is morally great. So what do you do? Yeah. If I am a lone survivor in a hostile city, it is absolutely idiotic for me to help anyone, stop anyone, of like, do not be seen, ninja, fast, quiet in the shadows. I am definitely risking my life and possibly more lives if I become a hostage. So it's like, man, you really need to bypass them tactically. Now, morally, perhaps that person would be so indebted to you that they would hide you or help you. I wouldn't bet on it. People are generally horrible, even if you rescue them. People are not good. And so I would want to know a little bit more of what kind of injury. If this person sprained their ankle, I'm going to leave them in the shadows. I'm gone. Of like, I'm not stopping. If they're bleeding out and unconscious, maybe I could throw a tourniquet on. So, even that. If it needs to be a field experience, I want to show any Americanized tourniquet that's left behind. Mm-hmm. So, man, I do need more information because if I'm just tactically making this decision, I'm going to leave them. Morals can trump my tactical decisions, but if I'm going to risk my life and trade my life for theirs, I need God impressing that upon me. I need to know just a little bit more. Is this guaranteed going to save their life? And I can guarantee save it if I stop. So, yeah, I don't know how else to answer without more context.
Yeah, I love your reasoning. It's logical, and it does follow the principles of battle, right? I mean, you do not even help your buddy until you've killed the target. You've killed whatever's trying to kill you. You have to kill it all first before you start rendering aid, even to your best friend that's laying next to you. And that's just the rules. The firefight has to be done before you can start fighting broken bones, people bleeding out, whatever you may be facing next. And I think it is a awesome principle for everyone, right? If it's an active shooter, an earthquake, or like what I face in December, a tornado, you have to ensure you're okay first. Make sure the site is safe, then you can render aid. And that is a general order that you can follow with pretty much anything that relates to crisis or emergency situations. And, John, I got to say, you have survived this podcast.
Woo! I'm the king of the world, baby. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You reached the rendezvous point, and you met up with your unit, and you are now safe.
I'm so relieved. There's so many people I want to thank. I'd like to thank Clint for nearly killing me and sharpshooting me on the whole vantage point, which I totally don't agree on 100%. I'd like to thank my publicist, who has nothing to do with this, but I got a book and we plugged it, so I got to thank them. So
you did good, man. And you did it. You did exactly what I love guys to do. Is just talk through the choices and giving the listeners the ability to go, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, now I learned something new. Oh, I got to remember that little trick, or I got to remember that little tidbit, because it's all those little things, just like you do. You have your way of doing it. I have mine. But at the end of the day, it's giving people some skills that could potentially get them out of trouble or harm's way. So I appreciate all your knowledge, your experience, everything you've got going on, the warrior poet mentality and society. All of it together is just so cool. Where can people find you, follow you, buy your book, and just dive in deep as it relates to you and everything you got going on?
Our website's really the best place, guys. If y'all don't mind, if you're interested in anything we're throwing down, visit warriorpoetsociety.com, warriorpoetsociety.com, and you can get our streaming service or see John Lovell show, which will be our podcast, or YouTube or book. All of it's there at warriorpoetsociety.com.
There you go. warriorpoetsociety.com. John, it's been great hanging out with you again. I hope to do it in person sooner than later. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for cutting out the time of your busy schedule. I do appreciate you.
I had a blast, man. Always pleasure. Let's not wait so long before we chat.
Nope. Yep. And like I always say, keep it simple, because crisis will complicate the rest. And you guys be safe out there until our next episode. Take care.